Man, what? Man, that's the sound of a man that's making money. Man, this is week 5 episode gambling. Welcome to the Cruise Dynasty podcast, man. Back at it again. This is what we do. Getting it out to you. Everybody knows if you listen to the show once a week, Thursday, I go solo and we make money. Every bet that the crew has placed. Shout out to Chris, Kraft, NDB, and the poor man P. Miller. Man, we got a whole slate. Got a whole slate for you, man. Been killing it. Like I said, I've been making money. I think through 4 weeks, I don't think I've lost money on the game lines yet. Now, every night, I've been losing some underdogs. You know, last week was a good week for the crew. 5 for 7, killing that shit. Everybody made money. Noah Bubble Blower. I say I have to call Noah Dick Blower. Noah Bubble Blower around the kids, man. When the little girls around, I can't be saying that. So in Noah Bubble Blower made money. Craftman made money. Chris made money. They all made money. Matt Ham did not make money on my motherfucking underdog over and unders. I was missing one on every single one of them. So tough luck. But as a crew, we killed it. We shooting 47% from the field on them over and unders. That's pretty solid. That's real good for some gamblers. But on the game lines, we're 57%. We're killing this shit. Killing this shit. Out of 54, we've gotten 31 right. Whoo-wee. That's just what the fuck we do. But all right, listen, I got a whole slate for you. I'm going to the Falcons game tonight. Boots on the ground, motherfucking boots on the ground. Go Dirty Birds. And I got so much at stake tonight, man. I got fantasy players everywhere with I'm going against. Got them on my team. Man, I got a whole thing. I got just for over and unders just for tonight. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10. At least 9 or 10 over and unders just for tonight's game. Thursday Night Football down here in the South. Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay. But I'll be honest, I was looking at the odds. And nobody in the crew took it. But Tampa Bay, underdogs. Oh, man. If I wasn't a Falcons fan, I'd have been smashing on it all day. They were just barely small underdogs on the road. But we'll just have to check it out. Go Dirty Birds, man. I can't fucking wait. Real quick, though. Well, from SoCal. You want to know if you should start Rome Odunze or Keon Coleman. And listen, I'm in a dynasty league. I have to start Rome Odunze. I'm not expecting much. So I think I would take the shot on Keon Coleman. I don't know if you watched the game last week with Baltimore and Buffalo. He looks stellar out there. I think he looks solid. I think he's developing. Keon Coleman is the way to roll, I believe. If they start getting him involved, getting him 4 or 5 targets, every here and there. I don't know what his numbers was last week, but I was watching that game versus Baltimore, and he did look good. I think Keon Coleman was better than what people expected. So in Dynasty, you know, what a good stash that you got him in the mid-second round. But as far as for week 5, well from SoCal, Keon Coleman over Rome Odunze. I just don't have any trust in Chicago's offense. I know that they ran it up a couple weeks ago, and Rome Odunze had a great week, but like I said, I'm starting him this week. I got no choice, but I would pivot to Keon Coleman for this week, for week 5. So appreciate you, well from SoCal. Tell your buddies. Add the Cruise Dynasty podcast. 5-star review. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Let's get on it, man. Gambling, game lines. I got a whole slate for you. Me personally, I only got 3 locked in. I like so many lines this week. I liked so many of them. So naturally, I had to step back and say, this is a trap week. Trap week. I'm letting Phil, the poor man P. Miller, tackle it. He's taking it on. He's locked in 8. I got 3. The Craft Man's got 3. We got 8. We got a total of 13, 14. I think we got a total of 13 game lines. Check out the description in the bottom. I'll have every bet that's placed. New England, money line, versus the Miami Dolphins. What did I say? I said it last week when I took the Titans money line. This is the field take. This is poor man P. Miller taking them, because I'm taking the under at 35.5. Because these offenses ain't shit. They're not going to score no points. 35.5. I don't even know what it's bet down to. 34.5. I'd still take a shot at it. But like I said, Phil, New England, money line. Last week I said Miami's head coach, Mick Daniels, whatever the fuck. He can run an offense. He is great for fantasy. He can get you a few players on that Miami Dolphins offense. Tua Tagovailoa there, bam, running it up. He's good for fantasy. Real football, gambling, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, man. I don't believe he can adjust and win games on a week-to-week basis. Like I said, I think he can run a hell of an offense. New England, money line. Next, let's head over to the AFC East again with the Jets. Minnesota, -2.5 versus the Jets. I'm taking the money line. Right when I saw that one, I was like, man, easy money. Phil's going to go ahead and take them at -2.5, though. Why not? Minnesota, we've already established 2 weeks ago. We're following C. Swizzy on this one. C. Swizzy's been riding the Minnesota Vikings. So here me and Phil are. We're telling them Minnesota, a legit team to gamble on. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, let it roll. Carolina, I got them at +3.5. The poor man caught them on Tuesday morning, got it at +4 versus Chicago. Easy money, man. Andy Dalton. Man, we're always coming in here placing bets against Chicago. We've lost a couple times, but Chicago, you stink. You ain't no good. So Carolina, +3.5. We got Cleveland versus Washington. The over, 43.5. I can see the Kraft, man. He's making a little switch this week. You know, we've been killing these unders this week. Or the past 4 weeks, killing them. Unders, teams with underdogs, they're covering and winning outright. We're killing that shit. Kraftman making a switch. He's taking the over. Cleveland versus Washington, over 43.5. And then also, I want to say it's the poor man P. Miller. Washington, -3.5 versus Cleveland. That man, poor man P. Miller, sounds like he's buying into Jayden Daniels and the Redskins. Arizona versus San Francisco, over 49.5. I like it. Baltimore, -2.5 versus Cincinnati. I like that one too. Cincinnati did get on the win column, but it's the Panthers, so that don't mean shit to me. Baltimore, -2.5. They've been looking good. They're 2-2. Lamar looking good. They don't have to throw the ball to Mark Andrews because they going to keep running that rock. Denver, -3 versus Las Vegas. Bo Nix in the building. Las Vegas, probably no Devontae Adams. They shipping him on out. Sounds like they're shipping him on out. Sounds like Devontae Adams played his last game. Antonio Pierce said something about players making business decisions. Devontae Adams going to be on out. Where does he go next, though? Might be a good time to go ahead and buy low on him in redraft and dynasty. Houston, +1 versus Buffalo. Me, personally, I like Buffalo. I think Buffalo's a stellar team. I know they got blew out last week. But Houston, +1 versus Buffalo. Then we got Dallas, +2.5 versus Pittsburgh. I like it. That one was one I really liked, but I stayed away from it. And then the Rams, +3 versus the Green Bay. Pat. Go, Pat, go. So that's all the games we got. If you check in the description, I'm going to have them all. Let me read them off real quick. New England money line. New England versus Miami, under 35.5. Minnesota, -2.5 versus the Jets. Minnesota money line. Carolina, +3.5. Cleveland, Washington, over 43.5. Washington, -3.5. Arizona and San Fran, over 49.5. Baltimore, -2.5. Denver, -3. Houston, +1. Dallas, +2.5. 2 and a possible. And the Rams, +3 versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, let's get over here and talk about the shit that I know y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to talk about these over and unders, these prize picks, these underdogs, sleeper. Get on them all. Get on whatever platform. Go check out every line. I got a whole squad that looks through every single one of these lines. Every line, examine them. Bloop, bloop. Which ones do they like? Well, I got a whole slate. I got about 20. I got 9 for the night. We're killing this shit. Killing it. Let me just go ahead and just read the ones we got for the night. And, I know Chris and Kraft, they both got a slate for tonight's game. Chris got a big one. First of all, Baker Mayfield, over 193.5 passing yards. And old Swizzy on one of his bet slips done upped it up a little bit, and got it caught it at, let's see, what was it? Baker at 199, so 200 or more. I like that one. And I like the Falcons. It's like I said when I was talking about them game lines. Man, Tampa, underdogs right here, somebody should be smacking on it. It won't be the crew, but somebody should. Mike Evans, over 0.5 receiving touchdowns. Chris also has Mike Evans over 12.5 fantasy points tonight. Darnell Mooney, over 45.5 receiving yards. I'm just going to take a guess. I already know it was probably the Kraft man who did that one. Bucky Irving over 45.5 rushing yards. Hey, everybody knows I'm a Rachaad White guy. Man, Bucky Irving, he's cutting into it. Cutting into the production, like 45.5. Let's see it. Got Chris Godwin over 67.5 receiving yards. Chris got one kickers. Youngway Koo and what's the other one? Chase McLaughlin kickers over 3.5 field goals combined tonight. Bucky Irving 18.5 rushing plus reception yards in first 5 attempts. Easy money. Drake London over 23.5 rushing or receiving yards, first 2 receptions. Those are the plays tonight. Check the description. That's 10 plays for your ass. Go make some money and tell us all about it. Let's go ahead and get to the rest. Jordan Mason over 85.5 rushing yards. DK Metcalf over 65.5 receiving yards. Jordan Addison over 38.5 receiving yards. Jayden Reed over 61.5 receiving yards. Josh Allen over 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Tre Tucker over 38.5 receiving yards. I like that one. I played Tre Tucker just last year. Needed it. Bailed me out. Got in the end zone and bailed me out. No Devontae Adams. Tre Tucker, a good little stash in your dynasty leagues. Who knows? Maybe redraft too. Chuba Hubbard over 59.5 rushing yards. Terry McClaurin over 22.5 longest reception. Love it. Fucking love it. I like that one. Kenneth Walker over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Marv over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Easy money. That's easy money from everybody, man. Man, check us out on the description. I got every bet placed. Let me just read them over real quick. Jordan Mason over 85.5 rushing yards. DK over 65.5 receiving yards. Addison over 38.5 receiving yards. Jayden Reed over 61.5 receiving yards. Josh Allen over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Burrow over 1.5 pass touchdowns. Baker over 193.5 receiving yards. Also got him at 199.5. Mike Evans over 0.5 receiving touchdowns and 12.5 fantasy points. Mooney over 45.5 receiving yards. Tre Tucker over 38.5 receiving yards. Chuba over 59.5 rushing yards. Terry McSee over 22.5 longest reception. KW3 over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Marv over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Bucky over 45.5 rush yards. Godwin over 67.5 receiving yards. Kickers combined for 3.5 field goals. And tonight's Tampa Bay and Atlanta game, Bucky Irving 18.5 rushing and reception yards in his first 5 attempts. Drake London over 23.5 in his first 2 receptions. Easy money, like I said. Look, DFS, I always touch on DFS at the end. You got to touch on it. People love it, man. I got a homie at work, loves that shit. Show me the receipts. 11,000. He won 11,000. Some people out there playing for some big money. I asked Chris, I said, hey, motherfucker, I said, what's some advice for this week? He said, don't play DFS. It's bullshit. I agree. I quit playing DFS a while back, but I know you love it. The Chris, Craftman, Phil, they all still play it. Phil sent me one. Shout out to the people who play DFS. I got a lineup for you. T-Law. This is the C-Swizzies. T-Law, man. You know we love some Trevor Lawrence going against Indy. Then at running backs, we got Jordan Mason, Chuba. Wide receivers, we got Jayden Reed, Jacoby Myers, Nico. And then we got Ali Jr. That's your little cheap play. Kenneth Walker in your flex and Washington's defense versus Cleveland. Listen, man, if I've said it once and I've said it 10 times, the way that the crew plays DFS, the way the crew plays DFS, I'm just sitting here reading everything Phil sent me. Let me just go ahead and read Phil's. Phil's got Brian Robinson, even though he's questionable, but Phil went Justin Fields, Josh Jacobs, and Brian Robinson Jr., Christian Kirk, Jayden Reed, Downs, Freiermuth, Henry, and the Broncos D. If the one thing I know about the crew is they want to go cheap at quarterback, a la Justin Fields and damn, who the fuck was Chris playing today? He was he threw out there Oh, T-Law. Of course, T-Law cheaper than at other points in his career. They like to go cheap at quarterback, cheap at tight end. You might as well go cheap at tight end no matter what. And then cheap on your defense, and then fill it up with your running backs and your wide receivers. That's how we like to play. That's how we like to roll. Put that little random piece in there so that, hey, if this one hits, like Ali with Chris or Phil, which one of them, if he randomly scores a touchdown, that's easy money. DFS is random. I feel like that with best ball too. When you're playing best ball, go pick up some random combination or stat and see if it hits and try to win you some money. Because that random shit right there, that's how you get into that 0.01 percentile to win the big bucks at $200,000 on underdog and whatnot. But that's all we got. Everybody, thank you for listening to the podcast. I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 10 motherfucking times. Look at the description. Every bet that we have placed will be placed in the description. Go follow me on Twitter at CrewMattHam. Follow the podcast. Hit that add button on the top right corner. Go hit the bell button if you're on Spotify. Go tell your homies that, hey, there's a cool podcast out there. All they do is talk football, gambling, dynasty, redraft. They do it all. Thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody. But with that said, I'm out.